Next up, we are fortunate to have with us someone who has spent decades serving Kentucky with deep roots in public service and a passion for moving our state forward. He's a former legislator and a strong friend of counties. Please welcome Rocky Adkins, Senior Advisor to Governor Andy Beshear, for an update from the Governor's office.
Well, Judge, thank you. Honored to be here today. Great crowd always at this conference, and I see so many faces I've had the opportunity to work with over the years, but also a lot of new faces, and it's good to see everybody here. I know that county government is where the rubber meets the road, and my 39 years in Frankfort, Kentucky, it's been an honor for me to get to know each of you and have an opportunity to work with you as well. Thousands of friends that I've met along the way that I wouldn't have if I hadn't made a decision at the age of 25 to put my name on the ballot. And for those of you that have and are and do put your name on the ballot, I have deep respect for your courage and wanting to fulfill the role of public service. Today's a little bit different update for you. I thought it would be important that over the last 6 years we've seen, without question, the most unprecedented challenges of my lifetime and most unprecedented challenges of you, many of you in counties across Kentucky. As we sit here today, over the last almost 6 years, we have been under 14 declared natural disasters. We remain under 3 as we sit here today, just this year. So I'm going to try to do some slide, a little video, and we're going to talk about recovery efforts, and we're going to remember, but we're going to celebrate also the progress we're making on the recovery and the rebuilding. If my guy back there would hit the video, we'll go ahead and get started.
So it was just a matter of minutes and it got up to my chest.
It was terrifying. We were sure people were going to get washed away.
The Kentucky National Guard saying 400 people have been rescued by helicopter.
One mother says she used the cord from her vacuum cleaner to tie herself to her 2 children, hoping it would help keep them alive, and in the worst case, their bodies would be found together.
We had a totally new floodplain after this flood.
It was like a war zone.
Our people deserve better than this.
Eastern Kentucky saw the worst of Mother Nature, but the world saw the best of Team Kentucky.
This is something the likes of which we have never seen, which means we need a response that is the same.
I never thought it was truly going to get better, but I'm able to stand here today and say that it did get better.
So this could be the event that wiped us out, or it could be a catalyst to making some real change.
It's been a lot of work, but it's absolutely worth it.
So what you see there is a documentary that has been done, of course, on the flooding that happened in East Kentucky. And what you're getting ready to see is just slides that will continue both on East Kentucky devastation, West Kentucky devastation, and in between. So I think it's important for county government folks in the trenches every day to understand where we were then and the progress that we're making now. You'll see the high ground developments that's taken place on mountaintop mine sites throughout Eastern Kentucky that's being developed into beautiful housing communities. You'll see infrastructure that's being built into those with roads and high-speed internet, infrastructure that's needed to make sure those communities survive in the future. You're seeing the West Kentucky on the screen now, the devastation of the tornadoes that tore through West Kentucky and the fatalities that went with it. And I think it's important for us to understand that in your roles of being in county government, that we sometimes are faced with challenges that we never expect, that sometimes we have to live up to whatever the day brings to us that's outside of anything we could ever imagine, and we have to respond. And in our role in Frankfort, we're trying our best to respond and work with you every day to make sure we rebuild these communities as we move forward in the future. And there's so many good things that's taken place in these communities, and we'll get to see some of those as we get on through the slide from West Kentucky to East Kentucky. And of course, there's some slides in here also, the tornadoes that come across Somerset and into London that happened in April, May of this year. So you see some of the houses that are coming out of the ground, communities that were destroyed by the flooding, communities that were destroyed by the tornadoes, folks that are accepting. And through all of those challenges, you start to see the economic success that we're celebrating across Kentucky. So while we have, without question, been through the most unprecedented challenges of my lifetime, without question, over the last 6 years, it's also good to celebrate and to know that we have seen historic economic development announcements across Kentucky, that we have seen the type of investment taking place in Kentucky that has never been seen in definitely my lifetime, in my 39 years of service here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Most of you know I served 33 years in the Kentucky House. I've been with the governor for the last 6 years as his senior advisor, and to see post-COVID the advancements we're making all across Kentucky. $44 billion of private sector investment over the last 6 years here in Kentucky. Over 63,500 new jobs at Kentucky's highest wages in the history of Kentucky. We have broken every tourism record over the last 3 years of people coming to Kentucky and the economic impact of that. We've also broken every export record in Kentucky, and I would ask the question, I ask it most often, and folks in this room that know what our number one export industry is. It's the aerospace industry. It's an industry that people wouldn't think would be our number one export industry, but it is. Site Selection Magazine just the other day, I'm getting a little feedback, sound back there, I'm getting a little feedback. Site Selection Magazine just the other day came out with a report that said, well, there's so many states that may be in a light recession, and there's so many states that are stagnant. But here in Kentucky, the report on us is that our momentum is still good, that we're still having job announcements, we're still having private sector investments, spending is still strong. Largest budget reserve trust fund in the history of Kentucky at $3.5 billion, but I will tell you that we are showing a shortfall of about $3 million, $350 million, somewhere in that range in this current fiscal year. So this upcoming session will be interesting and a little bit different. What I would like to say about all of this stuff that you're seeing on here is to talk about what I believe the definition of public service is. And I believe with all of my heart, with the political division that we're seeing in the country, the political division that we're seeing regardless of where we turn the TV on, is that you'll see what's going on here, a job, a cleanup effort, helping our neighbor, whatever it may be, that those are not Democrat or Republican efforts. Those are not red or blue efforts. Those are not right or left efforts. Those are just efforts that all of us are making together to make our community a better place. And I believe public service is about getting up every day and trying to find a way to help somebody, trying to find a way to make a community a better place, trying to find a neighbor that we can get a hand down and help them up, trying to find a way to unite people instead of divide people. You know, I stand on this stage today and I would just tell all of you in this room that for some reason in today's political debate, for some reason, just because you may have a letter out from your name and I may have a letter out from mine, yours may be an R, mine may be a D, yours may be an I, that for some reason I'm not supposed to like you. That for some reason, matter of fact, I'm supposed to hate you. For some reason, we're not supposed to find the middle and work together to make good things happen for our communities. That some reason social media and network news gets it to where We're not supposed to find compromise. Well, you know, folks, I was majority leader of the House for 14 years and minority leader of the House for 3. And some of the most vicious debates that we could ever have on the House floor were debates between people like me and Jeff Hoover, or in the conference committee, me and David Williams or Robert Stivers. But I pride myself in my career that I've been able to work across party aisles. I pride myself that I could call David Osborne, the Speaker of the House right now, and say, I need to come and see you. And Scott, he'd say, come on over. I could call Robert Stivers right now and say, Robert, I need to come talk to you about an issue that we've got. He would say, come on over. You see, I think that trust and friendship is something we earn. And during my time of service, it has been easy for me. When I was majority leader, and some of you may have been there when I was majority leader, I fed the members in my office before every session. And I would go in before session, and there'd be as many Republicans in there getting a bite to eat as there was Democrats. And you know what they were doing? They were actually talking. They were having conversation. They were actually friends. And we go to the House floor and we would have a debate on an issue that we may disagree on. But after it was over, it's kind of like when I played point guard at Morehead State University. We left it all on the court. And when it was over, we went out in the hallway, we shook hands. We may go out and get a bite to eat, dinner that night, and try to find the middle. Try to make it work. And I believe at the end of the day, when we look at things, Judge, that people really care about. People really care about not getting up thinking about their political affiliation or thinking about, well, what political divide can I cause today? I think most people, when they get up, they worry about whether they got a job or they put food on the table. I think they worry about whether they got a good public school to take their kids to. I think they worry about whether they have good roads and bridges to drive on. I think they worry about the very things that people in everyday life are concerned with. Do we live in a safe community? I think those are the things that people care about. And do I have a good hospital to take my family to in case I get sick? Those are the things that people really care about that I've worked with now for 39 years of my life. So when you look at the economic success we've had across Kentucky, and you see the $44 billion of private sector investment, and you see the 2 years we have left in this administration, the opportunity to continue to work with you at the local level, we still have a lot of work to do. When you look at the 60-some thousand jobs that's been created in your communities across Kentucky, and you see the momentum that we have been able to keep going, I think all of you in this room would agree we still have work to do. When you look at the infrastructure that has been invested in across Kentucky, the type of infrastructure that you care about, water and sewer, broadband, roads and bridges that make a difference for your community. The Kentucky Project Development Initiative that put money from the governor to the General Assembly that you apply through your industrial development authorities, that money that comes to counties where you're able to build industrial sites, build pads that are build-ready sites to build industry on. I was just out in West Kentucky and saw a big site building, a spec building that's being built from $4 million that came out of that pool of money, and you counties across Kentucky are applying for that money to help your communities to be able to compete. You know, 3 big infrastructure projects to the magnitude that have never been done in Kentucky. 3 that are under construction as we speak or in the process of being under construction. I'll start in West Kentucky first. The I-69 approaches and bridge across from Evansville to Henderson. I'll come on in to northern Kentucky now, where I see judges that are here from that region as well, the Brent Spence Bridge, a $3.5 or $4 billion project that's getting ready to get started as we stand here today. And yes, up in eastern Kentucky, where I'm from, the announcement and the groundbreaking of the last phase of the Mountain Parkway that will connect Prestonsburg back to Winchester on a major 4-lane highway. And yes, back in eastern Kentucky again, just the other day, to cut the ribbon on a $740 million highway from US 23 to Elkhorn City at the Virginia line. I think those are the kind of things that folks care about. And I think it's our job, regardless of what level, local government, state, or federal, that we absolutely work together to make good things happen. And that's going to continue to be my challenge and my charge as I get up and do this every day, working with each of you. I would just end by saying this, that there's 4.4 million people that live in Kentucky. 2.2 million of them have my cell number. I say that for this reason. I hope there's not been a time when you've reached out to me that I've not been able to reach back to you. I hope there's not been a time that you've tried to get a hold of Rocky and Rocky hadn't been there and been accessible to talk to you about whatever issue it is that's been on your plate that you need help with, you need advice on. Again, the definition of public service is to get up every day and try to find a way to help somebody. Try to find a way to make a community a better place. To do projects, and I'm going to say it again, that are not Democrat or Republican, they're not red or blue, they're not right or left. All these projects are about is just moving this Commonwealth forward. And when you look at all regions of Kentucky, from urban to rural, and we're trying to rebuild every region of this Commonwealth to have hope and opportunity once again. Coal country, where I'm from. Coal country in the east and the west. Downturn of the coal economy that cost thousands of jobs directly and indirectly. I'm a casualty. 30 years in the coal industry, I worked. I walked out the door with 1,700 people one day. So I get a little bit infuriated when I hear people talk about, well, because you're a Democrat, you're not a friend of coal. Well, let me tell you something, folks. I wouldn't have a pot to pee in if it wasn't for the coal industry. I'm going to tell you, there's nobody in this room that's got more coal dust on them than I got on me. And when it comes to fighting for how we build economies, how we lift up regions and communities across Kentucky, how we have a highly skilled, trained, and educated workforce, how we diversify economies that maybe depended on something before, but we're having to diversify to build new economies because of the infrastructure we built gives us that opportunity to do so. So folks, I'm going to tell you what, this is a team sport. This is not a sport where you got ball hogs and nobody gets the ball and gets a chance to shoot it. In this game that I'm in, there's enough credit to go around for everybody. In this game that I'm in, when you read in the press all this division, the governor don't get along with the legislator and this person, let me tell you something. When it's come to economic development, the governor and the legislature have worked together. When it comes to infrastructure, of building roads and bridges and water lines and doing all these things, broadband and beyond, the legislature and the governor work together. When it comes to the Kentucky Project Development Initiative, of putting millions of dollars in to build industrial sites, the governor and the legislature work together. And when it comes to responding to these natural disasters, the governor and the legislature work together. So I'm just up here as this old point guard. The responsibility of the point guard is very simple. The responsibility of the point guard is to make everybody else better. And working with county government at every level, it's your game plan that we need to implement. It's not really our game plan, it's your game plan that you have in your local communities that we need to help you implement. And that's how we work with local governments and how we're going to continue to work with those local governments in the future. I'm going to end my comments, and some of you that have been here many times will have heard the story that I'm going to tell. But I'm going to tell it again because I think it's important that all of us are willing to drink from the same dipper. And if you ain't willing to drink from that dipper, then you're not on the team. and you're not going to be as successful in your community as you would like to be. If you're that ball hog that wants all the credit, well, let me tell you, you're only as good as the team you got around you. And when I drove to the head of that holler that time, and my dad told me not to leave until this person told me they were for me. 25 years old, folks. We'd never run for anything in our life. Dad told me, he said, you go to see this person, and he said, don't you leave till he tells you he's for you. Well, I drove to the end of the blacktop, the gravel, and the dirt road. I walked in this little house, knocked on the door, I knocked the dogs, I knocked the chickens out of the way. I went in, and this individual had a big white beard and long white hair. These guys sitting over here probably know who I'm talking about. I'm not poking fun. It's my friend. It's my friend. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not downgrading. This is my friend. At the time, I didn't know this individual, and I go in and I said, my dad sent me out here to see you. He said, who's your dad? I said, Jesse Adkins is my dad. He said, well, I know old Jesse, but I don't know you. I said, he sent me out here to get to know you. I sat and talked, and I couldn't see any pictures on the wall to kind of create a conversation as I had other places. He didn't have any pictures on the wall. He had a big chew of tobacco, and he had spittoon sitting over here, and there was as much of that amber in this white beard as there was in the spittoon. I never could get him to tell me, Judge, that he was for me. So I get up disappointed, and I walk out on the little wooden front porch to head back to my vehicle. One, he hadn't told me he was for me, and I was dreading to tell my dad that he didn't tell me he was for me. So we get out there, and I glance over, Judge, and I see this wooden structure with a roof over it. And I said, well, that's a deep dug well that my grandma and grandpa, they used to have one like that, and I loved that water out of it. And I asked Mr. Cox, I said, could I have a drink of that well water? He said, yeah. I said, is that the only water you got? He said, yeah, that's the only water I got. I said, well, my grandpa and grandma had one. I'd like to have a drink of it. We walk over there. He takes that bucket loose, and he sends the bucket down. And folks, about that time, I look, and there is green stuff growing on the dipper. Now, there may be some in here too young that don't know what a dipper is. I don't know if you are, but it's like a cup, a tin cup with a little handle on it. Well, I guarantee you there hadn't been any cleaner took to this dipper in some time, and it comes up, steam comes off the bucket. Mr. Cox reaches and gets the dipper, and he gets me the water. And I'm thinking all the time, but back in my mind, man, I wish I had a cup. I wish I had that, but I knew better than to ask, because I was trying to get him to say, I'm for you. And so when he reached that tin cup to me, the dipper, he had it by the handle. And I'm thinking, where's the best place to drink out of this dipper? So you can imagine he's got the handle, and I grab the bottom of the dipper. And I thought in my mind, well, probably where it may be the best place to drink out of this dipper is at the handle. So I turn the dipper around, and I take one big drink right where the handle is. And about the second swallow, Mr. Cox slaps me on the back. And he said, why, Rocky? He said, I know I'm going to be for you. You drank out of that dipper just like I do. So the moral of that story is, you better drink out of that dipper if you want everybody on the team, even sometimes when you don't want to. Of course, my dad asked the question. He said, did you drink that water? I said, Dad, I drank every drop of it. And I said, he only told me that he wasn't only for me. He told me he was for me. Folks, look, I don't know what else to say to you except say this. I have such deep respect, I mean this, for the people in this room. Let me tell you, I've been in the trenches for 39 years now. I have such deep respect for people, number one, that are willing to put their name on the ballot. But I have deep respect for people who are willing to serve. Folks that answer the phone different hours of the night. Folks that you meet that are not always happy the way they are in McGoffin County every day. They're happy in McGoffin County every day. Never have to put, what I'm saying is, I have deep respect for what you do. You folks are at the local level. I work in Frankfort every day. I hope that you feel free and you think in your mind that I know one person I can call in Frankfort. That I know he doesn't care my party affiliation, that he doesn't care what county I'm in, that what he really cares about is, can we work together to make your communities a better place to live? Folks, I'm in it to win it. This fight is worth fighting, and I don't know about you, but I'm fired up and ready to go. Thank you all for having me today.